Welcome, all you metalheads out there. This is the BANGover Podcast, doing another album anniversary review breakdown / superfan edition. Me and Chris, I'm Scott Allen as always. Chris Myers, super producer.
What's up?
Are big super fans of this band, Gojira. And today we're doing their very first album, Terra Incognita, which was released...
Incognita.
I'm already fucking this up. Which was released in 2000, right?
2001.
Oh, so this is making its 19. I thought it was turning 20.
19. And then it did a re-release in 2009, August 24th, and then another re-release October 10th in 2016.
Gojira's Incognita. Oh yeah. I love it so much. This is one of those, this is just one of those bands that I just can't express how much I love this. I just want to geek out. I'm flipping out right now. I don't know how to use words, man. One of my favorite bands of all time. Chris, would you say that as well, or...
Yeah, I don't have very many tattoos, but I have a tattoo of this band.
The Goj. Yeah, we call it Goj for short because it's just what we do. Originally called Godzilla, but getting sued and having to change their name. Chris, have you ever heard of a band called Godzilla besides for listening to Gojira's demos?
No.
Exactly. Fuck that band. I've never heard of you, bro. You know who I have heard of? Gojira. And for me, it's a way better name. Godzilla is cool. It's like Japanese for God. I forget.
I don't know.
King of the Gods or something, I guess. God, I should have done more research on this. But Gojira just being the Japanese term for it. Gojira. You know, that was the very first Gojira or Godzilla movie was called Gojira. And... I love the idea of the name because if anyone listening does not know about Gojira themselves, they are a French metal band which started in 1996, releasing their very first album in 2001. Takes a while. And they're very environmentally friendly. It's weird to say that they're like environmentalists, but yes, they are. You know what I mean?
In a way, yeah.
I don't want you to, like, the listeners... to think that how should I say this? They're just not metal enough, or they're very sensitive and they have like this soapbox that they stand on and preach about, you know, the earth and pollution and stuff. It's yes, but no. They do not force it down your throat in any way. And it really, at the end of the day, it's more about the music. Their message is kind of hidden underneath all these wacky breakdowns and twists and turns and riffs and little little fucking hammer down pinkies. So the name Gojira fits because Gojira is like the destroyer of worlds, but at the same time he would destroy. It's like a forest fire, getting rid of all the dead brush and all the dead trees to allow new trees to grow in place, right? So Gojira comes and destroys mankind to bring order back to nature. Does that make sense? Like, he's not a bad guy, Gojira.
Yeah.
He's like, we're like fleas on a dog, and Gojira is like the fucking, the medicated soap that you use to kill fleas, in a sense. Yeah. I think that's the original idea. You know what I mean?
I've looked at it
the
like...
destroyer of the world.
The Godzilla thing as like... humans created Godzilla because of nuclear waste, and so humans have created Gojira because of the nuclear waste.
Created their own monster that will destroy them.
Well, created the monster, you know, in this sense, the monster Gojira is talking about the environment. Yeah. So it's like it's fueled it.
Yeah, for real. Like, the name is clever because of what their message usually stands on. And they're mostly, I mean, they're not trying to shove anything down your throat, even though they were going to do a whole album about the sea shepherd, which is a little ridiculous. The whole well hunters thing. I don't know. Since South Park did that episode, it was just like, oh, these people are just up their own asses and just. I get it. I love whales. I love dolphins. I love creatures. I want to respect nature and everything, but sometimes it's just like, shut the fuck up, you hippie asshole. Like, ugh. You know, when people are just so smug about something? I don't feel that from Gojira at all. Like, the smugness of being a vegetarian or a environmentalist, you know, being someone that cares about pollution and preaches about it, they're not smug in any way, you know? When they do interviews, they don't go on rants about this, you know what I mean? So what really got me into Gojira was the drums, the guitars, the sick breakdowns, and the way he sings as well, because it's so pleasant, you know what I mean? It's so...
Well, this
for
album,
someone that's not into metal, it's you can take it in.
it starts to get more
easy.
pleasant throughout the span of their career, but you know.
Right. I mean, before this, when they were Godzilla, they were just fucking...
It's very death metal-y.
Very death metal.
Yeah.
But you can still hear some of that same death metal, you know, breakdowns, just weird interludes and stuff like that where they really slam it in there, you know, where it's just fast as all fuck and it's complicated. It's like a fucking a math equation on a chalkboard, just written out the entire thing, and they just answer it with 1. 2 plus square equals fucking 2. I don't know. It's like, there's a lot of math, it feels like, that goes into this stuff. I think, for me, I've said this before on the podcast, that this just comes out. This is just who they are. They're not sitting there writing down numbers and stuff like that. They're like, hey, I have this idea for this, and then they twist it into something that might be a little bit more interesting instead of just being so on the nose. Because the groove is great, but if you're grooving all the time, it can be pretty boring. You need those crazy instrumental parts, those breakdowns, transitions to really spice it up, and it makes metal, you know? Like, we talked about this with thrash metal on the last episode, where it's like, there's groove, but then shit just gets super fast and chaotic. But we always come back to this groove. We always start with this groove, you know? It's the thing that catches you immediately. And I believe, even though Gojira is kind of complicated, in this CD, the song y'all just heard is fucking insanely complicated. But you start to catch it after a while. It's like, you don't think about it as individual pieces. It's just one big chunks. You know what I mean? It's just chorus, verse, it's breakdown, you know? And then it just flows. It feels easy to listen to. It feels nice. You know what I mean? It's not like Cannibal Corpse, where they can really, like, break the fucking... the camel's back just immediately, just put you'll be jamming along and be like, whoa, what was that? You know, like in your headphones, whoa, I didn't like that. That being said, Cannibal Corpse has a lot of groove to them as well. Yeah. It's what gets people into music. You can't go full throttle all the time. You got to think about music and think about it musically, you know, instead of just being super complicated all the time and technical. There's no music there if you get too technical, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where's the groove? You're going to have the audience just staring at you, just like, I don't even know what is happening right now. We were in a band back in the day, Gorehound, and one of our biggest influences was Gojira. So we were coming up with all these weird breakdowns and transitions and time signatures and breaking tempos to fast to slow and stuff. And there was a couple times where the crowd just looked at us and was just like, this is great, but it is super fucking complicated and super fucking technical, to the point where it's like you can't understand it the first time around. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Gojira is a great line in between being like super technical and being super groovy. They find themselves in, I think, the best place in music. Very experimental, very interesting, highly skilled musicians. But at the same time, some of these riffs you could play. Like learning it and you're like, I didn't know it was that easy. Yeah. Sometimes the drums are like that too. They do have
riffs that are like that.
It's just about putting all that stuff together and playing it for like 6 minutes through. That's when it gets fucking complicated. I can break down any of these parts, but the whole thing all the way through, man, that is where the magic lies. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Chris, what was the first time you ever heard Gojira?
I mean, it was, I think we talked about it at the...
I think we did bring it up.
We've touched on
Gojira quite a bit.
Yeah,
You know,
so,
it's one of our favorite bands. It connects.
You know, I think they're a band you just need to see live. Also, to
Oh, it blow you away.
to get the full experience too, because they sound as good as they do on record live. So it's crazy.
Yeah.
But I mean, just coming at this being like their debut album, it's almost 20 years too. That's kind of crazy, but the like how much it still holds up.
Yeah,
like
it feels very modern.
Yeah.
It's listening to it, and then, I was like, wait, was it 2000 or 2001 this came out? Either or, it still is like, oh my God.
I mean, for
I didn't
2000,
know this music
yeah.
existed in
At
2001.
Yeah.
Think about what's coming out in 2001. Iowa, Slipknot, fucking Toxicity, System of a Down. And then Korn's coming back with maybe that was 2004. I'll pull that out, Untouchables. But the music that was happening right there, you know, like
in America
Disturbed.
at least, because this is
Disturbed
French.
was a headlining band.
Yeah.
It's the new metal was still riding strong for the next 2 years. I think 2003 is when it just starts fucking tipping. 2001 was again, we talked about the at the Drive-Ins album, and how it was the album to like start putting the nails in the coffin for new metal. Like, we found something else. And if this was more popular, if they had a better label, a better publicist, promoter, like, and people got this out, and we saw this shit on MTV, they were playing it on the radio, every Friday here in Austin on our station 101X, they would do, No Control, which is just 2 hours of metal.
Well, I think they just didn't break here in America until, sadly, their third album. You know what I mean? From Mars to Sirius, they didn't.
Yeah, and it wasn't even, that was kind of like the ripple. I think the big explosion was Away with All Flesh. And that got them to,
totally.
Yeah.
But that
open up for Metallica.
That tour From Mars was the one that they opened up for. I mean, they were opening for Machine Head and Lamb of God and Trivium. So
that's
at
insane.
that time,
yeah.
So it's like they were already 3 albums in, and they're just now coming to the States, playing Stubbs, opening for these bands.
And that's how you first saw them.
Yeah.
Was at Stubbs, just like, who's this band?
Yeah.
And you're just like,
but at the time, they had all of this under their belt. You go to France and you see them. They're they're the ones that are probably playing the top bill, while these other bands would be.
And maybe not even France,
acts,
but more like places like Germany or England, places around France. France is very passive.
They'll probably
country.
be higher on the bill.
Yeah. So. Okay, please, if anyone from France is listening to this, and there's more metal in France, I would love to hear it. But I only know 2 to 3 metal bands from France. And I talked to someone who lives in France, and they were saying, they don't have any metal venues here. And Gojira might be the only metal band to really come from France and be successful, because it's a very passive country, But you can just drive in one direction and fucking get to Germany in no time, It's smaller than Texas. Or maybe the same size. Again, I'm not fact-checking any of this. All right? If you want to leave some comments, you want to yell at me on my fact-checking, please, I would love to hear from all the listeners, good or bad. But when we saw, after hearing them for the first time, I think they were already on the Link, correct? On the Link album, when you saw them for the first time, and when you first introduced them to me, that's how I found out about.
They were doing From Mars.
Oh, we were already
that's what I'm saying.
from Sirius
they're already
to Mars.
they're already on their third.
And that's
release.
what got them stateside, if you will.
Yeah. So it wasn't until their fourth album, where they start to actually get more buzz, like you're saying. The third one kind of like. I mean, it's so
got
iconic.
attention.
Even in listening to it today, you're like, how do they even get this sound from Mars? It has its own sound. It's insane. Not a lot of albums, are capable of doing that. Where it I don't know how. It just has that, all those whale sounds, and it has its own like tone. Yeah,
there's all these things in the background that you don't even realize. You know what I mean?
But like just the way the album sounds too. Like it has its own iconic like feel. Like no other Gojira album sounds like that. No other album sounds like that. It's kind of, I don't know, I'm trying to think of another band that maybe does that, but That one, and then what? I don't know how many they're on now. 6, 7, something like that.
So I
far.
believe we're on six albums. Magma would be their sixth album.
Yes, Magma. Yeah, and that was 2016. 2016. So
Magma came out that long ago. We're due for a
we're
new
due.
We're due.
Yeah, 4 years.
It's usually 4 years.
I was gonna
apart.
say they do have a 4-year span.
Yeah, and that's just ever since the 2000s bands have started work like this, you know.
Well,
And maybe 2010 and forward, like we're getting more to like albums don't come out. A band's not making an album every year like they were in the past.
Well, it's like they'll first year they'll tour the States, and then they tour Europe, and then they come back to the States for like a second leg of the American tour where they touch places
pretty
like
much on
similar.
tour for 2 years.
And then maybe they do another like run in Europe. So then they're like going back and forth, but they're still playing the same album.
Yeah.
And it's been 2 to 3 years. And then you spend that last year in the studio working on stuff.
I'm working on the next album.
Then it comes
produced.
out, a year or two later or whatever the fuck. So
Yeah. A lot of time. Yeah. You would never think of like recording an album and being like, well, it'll be another 4 years until I do this again. Like, that thought, 4 years sounds like a long time to me. You know what I mean? That thought process. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying that's what you have to do. Maybe it's really bands that are established at this point that can take their time to pull out the next album. A band that's brand new should be pulling out shit fucking quick.
It's that
you
and
need
like
to get
demand
your
for
audience.
you.
Yeah.
Like if
and you can't be forgotten.
If you don't play Download Festival 1 year and then come year 2, there's an opportunity. You're like, oh, I could go to the studio, or I could go across the sea, or across the pond and play one of the biggest metal festivals out there.
Yeah.
And then that throws a whole wrench into your timeline. So now you might as well tour Europe while you're out there. I don't know. I could see like opportunities like that popping up. That's why bands postpone stuff, because they're like, oh, this opportunity came and I got to do that.
Well, we know like from previous episodes that we've done on albums, like I was talking about something else, that sometimes they were playing shows as they were in the studio. Mm-hmm. They would record, like get all the drum tracks, start working on the bass, and then, oh, fuck, we got to go play these shows, play this show. We can come back, start working on guitar part.
Track demos while they're touring.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That
totally
there's some gig opportunities that you can't turn down. Can't turn down. Especially when you're not a band that is on the level of success. And for a metal band to be on that level of success is rare in this day and age. But we do have those bands that are like mega. We have our Metallicas, our Slayers. Like these are arena bands.
Yeah.
These are. Everyone knows about this, even if you don't even like metal. You know who Metallica is. You know what I mean?
I think your smaller band is probably like gonna put out the album, like metal band too. Do a small American run maybe, and then if they're lucky, maybe go across. But then right after that, it's like work on the new album. Pump it. The bigger you get, the more it's like the more obligations to play more places. Postpones your next album.
People to hear your name. You need it to be in front of everyone. Being said, that's why you go out and play these mini shows. People know who Gojira is now. They nailed it.
Yeah. Through the countless hard work, just playing.
Hard fucking work, dude. Yeah, and being super fucking talented.
You got to be on it every night. You got to like impress the crowd every night.
Because someone will be there, especially at these festivals.
Yeah.
Like you're not there to see Gojira. I've rarely listened to Gojira.
Yeah.
I've maybe never heard them. I'm waiting for the other band to play, and then Gojira starts, and you're like, "What the fuck?"
Think about how many
that's
people.
That's the best feeling in the world.
That feeling, like when they were on this Metallica leg.
Oh, for sure. It's people were like for the first time hearing them.
Everyone's there for Metallica.
Oh man, it's giving me goosebumps just thinking about it. Just like, who's this band Gojira?
Yeah,
and you're like, whoa, because how can you not like this from the first go around?
You're here for Metallica, and then this band comes on, and you're like, oh, I got a new favorite band. Like that's what happens. So
Metallica's had so many years. Metallica has done this for so long that they are a well-trained horse and machine, if you will. Yeah. I mean, Gojira's technicality, them being younger as well, just metal takes a toll on a human body, especially when you're a drummer. And you just have to like watch watch Gojira perform their set and be like, fuck, how do we one up that? But we're talking about Metallica here. Like, they're on their P's and Q's at all time. Metallica come out and play a show without even practicing and fucking nail it, I'm sure. Metallica is that good.
All right, what song you want to play today? Oh, like
Dude,
their catalog is so in depth. Yeah,
they've played together for so long. They read each other. You know,
they'll play songs that they haven't played in years. Or,
for the first time in a year.
Yeah, and they've rehearsed it that day in the practice room right before.
Went over it just to remember all the fucking transitions.
Yeah. Well, before we get into more of the album and like the deep dive on the facts, we're gonna get into another song.
Yeah.
I was kind of up in the air with Satan is a Lawyer as the second one, but now I'm thinking maybe we should play Lizard Skin. I don't know. I'll let you decide. I think both.
I think
Lizard Skin.
I
is
think
really
Satan
good.
is a Lawyer just because that song gets stuck in my head quite a bit. It's just the chorus on that, and we'll chime in with a little bit of Lizard Skin because I want the audience, our listeners, to hear some of that, especially if you've never heard this album. There is some wacky fucking
That's not like the
time
song
signatures and riffs.
Yeah,
riffs.
We'll get into that, but so we'll pick Satan as a Lawyer.
Yeah, dude, every song, y'all.
Every song. There's some instrumentals.
They're all in capital
They're all
letters.
great too.
Besides for track 4, which is called track 4. It's 04.
All right, let's do it.
Feel safe and kill the smile. Yeah, the food's
That's what I'm talking about. That's exactly what I'm talking about. You see how it just stops on a dime like that? It just fucking drops. You're like, did the song end? What the fuck? What? That was awesome.
Yeah.
The craziest vocals there at the end.
It's like some weird effects, doubling effects,
Yeah.
and like some weird shit.
And then
sounds
like
crazy.
2.5 minutes into it, it just stops and just goes to a way different fucking riff. You're just like, it's the same song? Mm-hmm. But maybe it's because I've listened to it so many times. Please leave a comment. This is the first time you're listening to it and you are fucking loving this. Because, oh my God. Yes, the Ryan CD case is like this mock thing. Dude, he had all these albums.
He had all of them.
He was obsessed. And then he's like the later on, when we get to La Francisca, blah, 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 blah. Yep, that album, their fifth album, Wild Child. He was like, oh, they changed. It's like, no, it's just, they're just smooth. They just rounded the edges, They just smoothed everything. It's like what they were always wanting to be. This is a Gojira. Like, Gojira has their own sound. You know what the next Gojira album is going to sound like. They're not going to go too far away. You know what I mean? Gojira is Gojira. You're going to get those sick riffs. You're going to get those sick drum breakdowns and twisted shit every time. Maybe, like Magma taking a lot of time in space and moving and having a lot of breathing room. Maybe why the album got so big, because there's a lot of this complicated parts are kind of taken out, if you will. It's a lot more straightforward. It's like crazy, a flat plane, get a little bit crazier on a mountain, and then back down on the plane, and then going up again is.
Well, that's why I think you had
it just
From
moves like
Mars
a
be a little
wave.
bit more listenable. Like, was that album kind of, because it's like
the third or second song, you get that
it's
feeling
so
from it.
spacey.
Yeah.
But at the same time, when you do get to heavy songs like Heaviest Matter or like shit like that, where it is like bone crushing. But then there's like the spaced out, like down, 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 where it's just like grooving for a little bit. Like the first half of the song, it's just like him kind of grooving. And then when it actually kicks in, that you know what I mean?
Oh,
Even
yeah.
that's like a groovy riff. It's not super fast, just keeps your head bobbing.
Oh man, I love it. Now I want to listen to it.
Yeah,
You just did
exactly.
that to me. We just make those noises in the jam room.
So
It's
like this album is a lot of speed. There are those moments where it takes its time, but those are like the breakdowns.
yeah,
Where those
this,
are like
this album hauls balls,
Yeah.
dude. Like, every song is
it's
kind
pretty
of
fast.
Yeah.
It's
You have some quiet opening tracks,
Mm-hmm.
but it immediately gets to nuts to butts, and
Mm-hmm.
it ends just like on that fucking snare, just like that.
yeah.
Every song.
So little fun facts about it. The man posing on the album cover is actually the guitarist Christian.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't know that either. But that's him.
Let me take another gander.
Him kneeling over there.
Wait,
Bald.
is Christian the bass player?
The guitar player, the other guitar player.
He was bald at this time?
Yeah, I guess.
I've
Yeah,
only seen him with long
I
hair.
know. That's what. Yeah.
How did he grow his hair out so
I don't
fast?
know. But yeah,
When did they do the Link Live? What's going on?
that's him. And then actually, the album was written when Joe took a hiatus away from society, and he lived in the forest in a cabin
Okay, maybe they are super.
for 2 years with his wife, with his girlfriend, without electricity, without income.
Holy shit.
So that there's a reference to it in the video "Love," and there's that's kind of just the
Did he write the song
inspiration
on
in the
acoustic?
forest and all this stuff. I mean, I don't know, but I'd probably like lyric wise, it maybe was inspiration.
Melodies,
Yeah.
sounds. Dude, a lot of this stuff is like if you were sitting in your car, it's raining, and just listening to your windshield wipers move back and forth. Like that type of syncopation, that type of it's just all very like a clock turning. Too fast or just really slow, It's like click, 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 click. I don't know what I'm talking about now. I'm going on rant.
And the song number 4, which we mentioned, was made by Joe and Mario as a birthday present for their mother on her 50th birthday, and it was never supposed to be released at all.
Whoa.
And then there's the phone call at the very beginning
Yeah.
of the song, which is their uncle leaving them a greeting. It was the uncle who left a voicemail greeting his sister.
Let's listen to a little bit of that. Huh?
Mercredi, 9h14.
Hello, Woo-Woos.
Hello, woo-woos.
This is Woo-Woos.
What?
You're 2 days away from your 50th birthday. And I'd like to talk to you.
It's not very long.
It's
It's a minute, so...
Novski Pikustamania. And if you're not there, well, I'll call later.
It's so strange. There's
Yeah.
so many parts like that. The opening of Lizard Skin, in which we were saying we were going to play a little bit of that. That's what I played when I introduced it, was the beginning of Lizard Skin. Just because that syncopation, that march, that fucking driving. And it starts off so weird. You know, I played the track and you're like, what the and then you're like, oh, right, yeah. I always forget how these songs start sometimes, you know? Until going back and listening to the album again. It's been a while for me, because I wore this album out.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I wore it out when we had it. So going back
been
and
a
listening to
second.
it again, it's been it's fucking fun. I was like, I probably, you know, I'm gonna know everything, and I was like, I just want to keep listening to it. Every song, it just keeps going and going. I was like, maybe just this song, or maybe just that one. No, no, it just holds up. Again, like you were saying, it's from another time, another place.
I didn't know much about the recording process. I mean, it was recorded about a year, 2001, at Impulse Studios in Belgium, and mastered at La Source Mastering in Paris. But it had a few remasters, as you know, and there's only one name that I'm seeing attached to the mixing and recording, and it's It's a French name, so, and it's raining here. I don't know if y'all can catch that in the background. We got a rainy day in Texas.
Pouring.
But Laurentex, I can't even, I'm just going to spell it out. It's going to be LAURENTX and then ETXEMENDI.
That's a shout out.
Extemendi. So this guy, I looked him up to see what else he did, because, you know, this is a really good sounding first album, and to see what else he's I've never heard of him.
Right.
So just see, I mean, he's
most albums are made by the super producers, the five, you know, Andy Wallace and shit like that.
Yeah, so you see familiar names, and I think it just goes to that, again, being from France, and it's a little bit more of a smaller community maybe. So, you know, this guy, thanks to Encyclopedia Metallum, I couldn't find much of anything else he's like engineered and stuff. He did some other band, Aghon, and like that's as far as like engineering and stuff. But he's produced a lot of other stuff. He did a Helmet, but HELMUT. Helmet.
Not the helmet that we know. Okay.
But he's done a lot of bands you probably wouldn't have ever heard of. Manimal, Pitbulls in the Nursery,
Nope.
Tripalum,
Nope.
Dethronic,
No.
Coverge.
The Coverge?
Coverge, not Converge. But these are all bands he's produced. And then when you get to Gojira, the most famous band he's worked with, he's engineered, mixed, mastered, produced, post-production, all the way up to The Way of All Flesh.
No, so the next album.
Terra, The Link,
Oh,
From Mars,
Terra,
The
I
Way
know
of
what
All
I'm thinking.
Flesh.
Oh,
He did their
wow.
first 4 albums, and he's not done anything else. But
Do
he's
you
made.
think they hated those albums? The way they sounded?
I don't know. I mean,
The re-remaster, the re-releases. They did that to all 3 of those albums. Re-remaster, re-release.
But then
all 3 of those.
why would they keep working with them?
I think what it was. Ooh. Someone's fucking this up. That's you, Chris. I think what happened was, or what their thought process, or maybe what went on in the studio, is that they went to a cheap studio, had to use the equipment that they were given, and this is what you get. You know what I mean? They didn't have the money to go in there and make the Away with All Flesh. Away with All Flesh is huge sounding.
Yeah.
Huge. These other albums are crazy nuts to butts, but there is something of like that old school metal recording. That's what it sounds like. It's tinty
it's
at times.
getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
Terra's pretty big. The Link, it starts to get even bigger. The songs are a little bit more
wacky,
tamer.
yeah.
Like, you know, in a sense
They're
where it's like,
more groove, but it is a bunch of wacky
still
melodies.
wacky.
Yeah.
But then you get From Mars, which is even more tamer, but still
it's focusing
more
on
so
heavy,
concept heavy that it has its own sound, but it's even heavier. I would say that is like
there's like a lot of
thing.
moving parts in from Sirius.
There's a lot of like underneath like sounds that are happening underneath that, you know, and then the Way of All Flesh is.
The Way of All Flesh is just like someone just kicked you and just kept kicking.
Yeah. So, but I mean, they kept getting heavier and heavier. And so for The Way of All Flesh, he only engineered that guitars, bass, and vocals. He didn't touch drums.
I know Joey, and maybe it's just Joey. He pretty much is he not listed as the other producer, the other engineer?
Joe,
I'm sorry.
on this album,
Yeah.
I don't. I mean, the producer of the album is listed as Gojira. So
So the entire band kind of like hearsay.
but
That's usually what it is. You look up their albums, like it would be the entire band is in control of their sound because this sound is so crazy.
Yeah.
This is so unique that they're the only ones that are going to tell you how it needs to be recorded. You know what I mean?
yeah, they do. I know they do a lot of like their own stuff as far as like.
Yeah.
I've seen them like track pretty good. Like, you know, they have their own studio and equipment type of stuff.
Now they
where
do,
they like,
yeah.
you know,
And
rehearse and stuff like that.
That's where all of Magma was created, was in New York, right? In their studio.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That one they just built.
So I mean, having probably someone else come in and help with the whole production value, but it just feels like Gojira was in control the entire time.
Yeah, from the start.
They
too.
didn't need that
Yeah.
super producer to come in,
not
that
a-
super
yeah.
engineer, because Gojira is just like a Devo or a Primus. It's like this band is a fucking genius. Not just musician wise, but songwriting wise, and they're the only ones that are gonna like know how to what they want. They have this in their head. They have this sound. They know no one else does. You know, those super producers always take something that was good, but they make it better because they heard something that band didn't. These bands already heard it and know exactly what it is that they want.
Yeah. I think they kind of had a head start too because they did Imp a lot, and then they kind of were in Gojira for this first, 96 to 2001. You know what I mean?
5 years.
5 years to like
Probably finding
play
the right bass player,
shows,
right guitar player to play with them. Because
build equipment.
we didn't
build
mention
up.
this. Mario and Joey Duplantier, brothers.
Yeah,
Yep.
brother band.
Brother band, dude. Like Pantera,
Yeah.
like
So-
Lamb of God. Not
Yeah.
anymore, but used to be. It's sad.
Fun fact too: Joe is the bass player for Cavalier Conspiracy.
And that was crazy. It was Max Calavera's wife that told Max about. He was like, "Well, why don't you get this guy from Gojira?" And he's like, "Who's Gojira?" Or let me try to do the accent. Who's Gojira? My headphones are slipping. I don't need them. Yeah, that was crazy. And they were like, just had him come in and play bass for that first Cavalier Conspiracy album, which is my favorite Cavalier Conspiracy album by far. Because you get some Joe's vocals on there. He sings a lot of
that's right,
tracks.
yeah.
Or like, I think just 2 tracks. But those are my favorite tracks because it's like, oh, fuck. To have Max's voice, Max and Joe's voice together, that's great, dude. I love how both those people sing. Like, how they portray metal. You know what I mean? Their metal voice. Both of them are just very good with it. Especially Joe. He's amazing, you know? And I didn't bring this up after we listened to the first song, but there is some just clean vocals there. And Gojira might be the only one that knows how to do it. Like, tasteful. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense to have clean vocals on something that is so heavy, that is so abrupt. But the way they go upon their clean vocals is just, it's like they just take a step back and just have clean vocals. They don't make that clean vocal be the biggest part of that section. The vocals are just there. You know what I mean? Everything else is bigger than that. The clean vocals are very subtle, and they come in at a perfect time. That being said, you know what? Anyone that doesn't like Gojira because they're environmentally friendly or they have all these like sing-songy parts, you can go fuck yourself. All right, this is one of the heaviest, most technical bands that has ever lived.
Yeah.
And I see them get trashed online sometimes. I was watching Roots Bloody Roots, you know, the last episode we did, the music video for that. And in the comments, the first 3 comments when I scrolled down, there was 3 people arguing about Gojira. Out of 30,000 comments, because that video has been up for like ever since YouTube was created. It got to a point we're not even talking about Simple Terra anymore. It's just became a music fucking, or a metal forum. That fucking comment section on Roots Bloody Roots music video. But anyone listening right now, go to it, look it up, look at the comments. It still goes. People just talk about metal on it at a certain point. And these people are just trashing on Gojira. And one guy's like, no, come on, y'all. And you know what? I get it, because they are, especially now, a little bit softer around the edges. We're taking a step back. We're not death metal anymore.
That's what I mean. They're in this rock and a hard place type of a thing, because like the Terra, even the Godzilla stuff, go argue with that. You know what I mean? And
yeah.
Like, yeah, you're probably referencing the newest album or just more recent type stuff, like kind of how bands change, the whole Mastodon thing. They've had this arc.
God.
They have a huge arc from like, you know, I'm sure fans.
And what does everyone always say? Oh, I love the first 3 albums.
Yeah.
You know, more than anything else. What?
So it's like, I think they're just a band that has kind of grown, and we've seen it countless other examples of this, where like first albums and current albums aren't necessarily that in sync, when it's like, yeah, it's the same members even, and it's the same sort of mentality. They haven't changed.
I don't think Gojira took too far of a step.
I don't think it's been too far, but
it's not like Korn is now. You know what I mean?
I don't think they've taken a step when it comes to like their morals and what they've like the mission statement of the band.
Right.
But I think they've stepped in a more like pop, for the, you know, lack of word, but for like that sort of a thing.
They had
like,
more of a poppier sound.
Yeah.
You just start singing and you dumb down your riffs a little bit. Maybe that's why like some of those. You talk about Mastodon. My favorite Mastodon album was Once More Around the Sun. But that was, again, dumbed down. Like they dumbed down a lot of their stuff on that one. And then the next one comes out, you know, Emperor Sun, again, dumbed down. You still get your crazy Mastodon-y things, but dumbed down in the sense that, like, there's songs like Show Yourself, you know what I mean? Gojira, no. I mean, maybe, would you say Magma has some of those songs that are just, like, so open? Like, put something like, what's that song called?
Olivia or whatever.
Olivia, you put that next to Say Love off this album. Gojira's Love.
Silvera, sorry.
Silvera.
Well, I mean, that song, Stranded, there's a lot of songs on that album that are very more like...
The song Magma is insane, in my opinion.
I mean, they do have insane songs, but there's
like...
They're more like... I don't want to say sing-songy songs.
It's just
more
open
like
riffs. Yeah.
It's like more just something that like you could show the layman's person and they'd be like, okay, you know, instead of you showing them something like something off of link and it'd be like, I don't know about this. This is too crazy.
Those songs are like the songs off of Magma, especially the singles, are way easier to remember. You just remember them. Like I was just thinking about it and I was like, boom, in my head. But if you told me to go back and think about what Lizard Skin sounded like, I'd be like, I need to listen to the first riff and then I got the rest of it. But it's that complicated at times, you know? It's like you listen to it and you just like, wait, what was that? It makes you want to go back and listen to it again because you're going to hear more and more things. Maybe that's what makes, that's why there are so many metalheads, in my opinion, around the world. It's because the time and the care and And the little hidden things inside the music are very important when it comes to metal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not just so on the nose. It's not just like a pop song where it's just not a lot to it. At the end of the day.
Well, they had.
That being said, you know, there's definitely layers.
I mean,
in every.
I think
great song.
Silvera and Stranded were the only 2 singles. Maybe there was another one. Was Magma a single, or Yellowstone maybe?
The first song, Star. What is it called?
Shooting Star.
Yep, that was. They had a music video for it.
And I thought Yellowstone too, but either way, I think they
All
did.
the songs.
I was gonna say, I think they had like 4 videos or something. Like and again, they toured for this album. 2006. They've been playing it.
First headline tour, yeah.
Yeah, they've been playing it for 4 years now. I mean, it had its time, or I guess not had its time, but it was supposed to be that album where they had all these hits. You know what I mean? They need this at this point. Now the next album,
I think it's gonna go back to Nuts to Butts.
exactly. I'm seeing it where it's like you kind of starting to see it get to where you get to where do you go after this?
Yeah, from Wild Child up to Magma. Okay, we did that.
If it gets any more,
Maybe another one to create
Yeah.
the 3 and then move on. You know,
if it gets
a lot
too
of bands do that. Create
too
3.
more friendlier after this, I don't know. You may start to like really put a dent in your fans. Like how much more.
Yeah,
I mean-
and I don't believe Gojira is going to do that because
I don't think so
they're
either.
addicted to the syncopation.
Exactly, but like,
you
know,
it's like drums.
For example, I mean, you have Ozzy doing like, and Ozzy's of course his own image and thing, but I just mean like taking, say, metal to that next extreme would be to do collaborations or something you would not have seen before. Mastodon, their last EP, they did a Led Zeppelin cover. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
doing
they also
something.
did, like 4 songs just for Game of
Yeah.
Thrones.
And they did
Yeah.
like that weird EP. I think that's what you're reading.
So many
it's
bands
like,
are doing this now.
you do this
I can't-
weird 4
yeah.
songs or something. So they may do something like that, or you know, you've built up all this time of sitting on the bench in a way, like of ideas. So maybe it is like a full force where I just see them going back instead of going maybe progressing this sound further, because then you start to what's next, collaborations, doing something with someone else. I don't think they've had a collaboration on any of their albums.
Yeah. They had, God damn it, why can't I remember his name? Randy from
Oh, that's
Lamb
right,
of God
on
came
the
in
Way of All
Way
Flesh.
That's my fucking favorite
Yeah.
song on that album.
But I
Dude,
think
that
that-
one kills.
Looking back,
He
they may
sounds
be the only one, and that's
so heavy.
and yeah, it does sound really heavy. But like,
That album, dude. That album fucking... I just blank out when I listen to that album, dude. It's just...
think
another,
about
it's,
like,
I think of just black, like sharp
yeah.
shapes, just black diamonds cutting the fuck out of you. It's just like, it's so harsh and so dark.
They've made a lot of friends and stuff since even that album, so I could see them like that would be the next step, is maybe have like a guest singer, guest guitar player,
Do a weird little project.
or
where
not
they
even
do,
just a
like,
single, just like have one
Yeah,
song on
exactly,
the album
yeah.
that's on there, and then but that would be sort of a dictator for like where it's gonna go, because like you said, that Randy song, that was the single for that album.
That
And
was?
I think so, and it set the
Oh
whole
my
like
God.
mood of what's about to happen. Whereas you have the single for Magma is what is it? We just said it. Silvera.
Oh my god, that song was the single for fucking A Way of All Flesh. That is the heaviest single I've ever heard.
So, like-
playing that on the radio, you fucking have to you blow your speakers out
That
in the
and
car.
Aurora Boreas, which I think both of those were like the
My favorite song is The Art
Toxic
of
Garbage
Dying.
Island. I like that.
Oh yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, The Art of Dying. There's Vacuity.
Yeah,
So
The
many
Art
good
of
songs
Dying.
just looking through it. But speaking of those songs, let's get into a song off this one.
I need more
Yeah.
Gojira.
So,
fuck, what are we doing?
What was the what are we doing, man? What's the next?
Oh, so
I think we
have to go with the space time.
Yeah, that was the other single from the album, and I think we're going all singles today.
Really? There
think
was
so.
4 singles?
Well, on maybe not singles, but Apple Music is listing Clone, Satan, Space Time, and then our secret last song as
Clones did have a music video.
so.
Yeah. But I hear them play Lizard Skin all the time.
That's
live.
like that's always on the set.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Blow Me Away is another one, Blow Me.
Well, let's get into the Space Time.
what can you say, right? You're just like jaw dropping. It's the ending breakdown. Oh my God, I love it. Just I always just think of the live version. You know, like I believe they played this on the Link, and just watching Joey or Mario fucking play the song. It's like it sounds so complicated, but watching him play, it's like it's so easy. You know, it flows so well, and he just fucking dances all over that fucking drum set, man. He truly inspires me to be a drummer and to be more creative and practice more because he's a workhorse, man. He practices all the time. He's just working on that feet like an hour and 30 minutes every day. That's what he was saying, or at least 30. I mean, it just goes, man. He's by far top 10 best modern day drummers right now. I mean, imagine going back in the 1950s or 60s and showing famous drummers back then, they would lose their mind. And that brings me to the next point where it's like all these reactionary videos online. You know, now we're at the fun part of the podcast where we just kind of talk about all the fun facts. And shout out to fucking Lost in Vegas. Dude, they do, I think, like 5 Gojira songs now, and it's pretty much what got them to love metal. It was like as soon as they heard Gojira, they were like, I'm hooked. And it's like, you know, they always say like, oh, this is part of my playlist. This is something I listen to outside of doing this podcast or this YouTube show. And how can you not like it? Just there's so many parts. It grooves. The vocals are not off-put. You know, they're not off-putting in any way to kind of like deter you from listening to this because, you know, metal is all about like the pig squeals and the screaming, and a lot of people don't like that stuff. Mm-hmm. But Joey just has a voice that you can't help but to like. And I always call him Joey. Sorry. I know him, you know, personally. We're friends. But, I mean, for God's sakes, they fall in love with it. And then it's like kids listening to Gojira, and they're like, what is this? And they're like 10 years old, and they're like, this is scary. Or old people, they're like, oh, just throw the headphones across the room. Just, oh, that's not music.
Yeah.
And I fucking love it because you'll always get a reaction out of someone putting on Gojira. Like, pick any song and show it to your mom, your dad, show it to your girlfriend that doesn't like metal, and just see their reaction, you know? Because it is something, like, they're gonna start listening, and it pulls your attention in. You can't stop. And you're just like, what the... And I don't know. Gojira is one of those bands that are just another level, another entity, and by far one of the best bands in the entire world, in my opinion.
And they definitely have worked to get that status. But
I was hooked the first time you showed me them.
Yeah,
I was just like, I'm in.
I think it's part also of the brother band. Get the synchronicity of the two, probably practicing and growing up playing music together. So it's just like you can't reproduce that with anybody. But you know,
yeah, they can read each other on a different level, a different wavelength.
Just they
could speak to each other without even words.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that type of bond.
That goes to like the riffs, like the drums playing off the guitars and the guitars playing off the drums. That's why it's
I guess
really
because he's not really following the bass player, because it doesn't start with your traditional style of music. It's kind of like the drums always following the guitar. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And when the guitar gets wacky or goes to those like chuggy riffs, the drums will be there to follow, and the fast parts, the drums are there to follow. Pantera is going to be one of our next episodes, and that's going to be more or less the same conversation. Is that I was listening to Pantera because I thought we were doing Pantera because we speak in slang. And he said, "Yeah,
Terra Incognita.
We're doing Terra," and all I heard was Pantera. I was like, "Cool," and I've been listening to them a lot, and it's the same thing. Like I'm just now realizing it that the drums follow that guitar the entire way. The bass is merely trying to it's just there.
It's holding it down.
Yeah, it's holding it down. Mm-hmm. Everything else is just fucking, whoa,
Everything else is kind of shiny. Rex is a really great bass player, and same with the bass player here.
Oh, yeah, I love this guy. All the bass players are the ones that get really into it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
They're the
Jean-Michel Labadie. I mean, Jean-Michel.
shout out, dude! Incredible bass
Incredible.
player. Love
You know what I
him.
mean? Throws like the he's always countering what the guitar is doing, but complementing it.
Yeah.
So
and it blends so well,
Yeah.
his bass parts. Like maybe you're not hearing it because the drums are so pronounced in most of Gojira with those wacky riffs.
yeah.
But but isolate that bass track and you'll be very surprised what you hear. You're like, wow, that's
So
it just doesn't sound like nothing at all. It's probably the melody of the song that you're actually hearing.
I think that's part of it. It's again, when it comes to the guitar playing, it's the riffs. They're stacked up upon each other. It's going with the drums. Like the drums and the guitar are really accenting each other a lot. The bass is doing its own thing to complement what's going on around. It is holding stuff down, but it also at certain points is doing something different. There's points where it's keeping its own groove.
Yeah, there's so many parts where it's just like the rest of the band will always live just take like a break, and the bass player always just
the song
keeps
we
that
just
shit
listened
going,
to, like it had that rhythm, like the bass is what's underlying. The guitars are doing this like kind of speed picking thing.
Yeah,
so
or these
like,
weird accents
Yeah.
that aren't like without that bass, it would sound horrible. You know what I mean?
So he's doing his own thing. I think that's part of the whole overall sound. It's guitar driven, riff driven, And I mean, drums are doing. They're going along with the guitar, but I think the drums are doing the heavy lifting when it comes to technicality, because the guitars you're not shredding, you're not doing solos. There's very minimal lead parts. They're actually just melody parts. A lot of it's following almost the rhythm of the vocals at times. When it comes to guitars, it's not.
So the drums are there to be the one that is almost what still makes this so fucking metal, because of how like
Crazy the drums
Yeah.
are. If the drums were
from
any
blast
more
beats
softer,
to like
or not softer, but just not as technical. Like you need some in it,
or that pronounced in the mix.
but you
Always so
almost don't
loud.
want to be too technical. There's that fine balance of like
That's what makes him such a good drummer. I've never seen him, and I don't know, like
he
might
could
have-
go off and do crazy shit, but
He might-
don't,
yeah,
like it's
there's probably-
pick and choose when you do it.
Might have been this album in particular in the studio. They were like, "Ooh, why don't you take it down a little bit?" Because
Yeah.
you learn all this technicality, you built up this strength and endurance being a drummer, and then you could just go on rants. You could just blast beat all the way through, and they're like, whoa, 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 like easy there.
Yeah.
But in some ways, I don't believe, because it almost seems like he's the one that he knows exactly what he wants, and he puts it down every time. I don't feel like there was ever like an incident where the drummer or the bass player is like, well, why don't you try to play something a little bit different, or maybe this beat, or even his brother in that sense. Maybe the brother, because they're brothers, they probably work with each other really well, so it's more like, I'm just going to follow you. But it feels like he's a genius, and he just lays it down, he plans it out, like immediately. He's on it. He's like, what's that song? What's the new song? And he's just sitting there writing. He's like, okay, break here, and then getting all his notes, and he just fucking goes in there and just nails it. I just don't ever, in my mind, he's such a god that I don't see him struggling ever. But I would love to see like a 30-minute YouTube, whatever fuck, just following him around, his practice routines, what he does. I would love to see his rig breakdown.
Yeah.
And again, is some broken ass English at times. They're better singers than they can actually speak, English. And all their songs are in English, as far as I know.
Yeah, Joe does a lot of the heavy lifting when it comes to the PR and just stuff like that.
I can never understand what Mario says.
Yeah. So yeah, we kind of mentioned the albums being re-released, and the reason why they were, and doing a little bit of research was in that 2009 one, or the 2009 was actually a re-release because the 2001 one was getting so hard to find, and it was showing up on auction sites for outrageous prices and stuff like that. So
that's insane.
They took it into their own, 7 year later type of a thing. Or
And it's kind of like
8
getting
years
back the
later
rights too from the label. Like after 10 years, then they let go of the album, right? That's the usual contract that you sign. We'll own this album for 10 years, or in whatever albums that you make underneath our umbrella, and then you get back 100% of that album. Like it's yours once more, you know what I mean? Once that time's up.
So maybe, you know, they've had a few labels. So maybe, you know, Gabriel Editions was the original release, and then Listenable was that 2009 re-release. So that's kind of falls in line with that. And then they also did the 2016 remaster. But that re-release was basically, this album was so hard to find at first.
Wow, we owned it too.
That it, the original edition that, you know, in 2009 they re-released it because of that.
That was like the Link as well. The Link getting a re-release.
It did get that.
And then them leaving that label again, doing another re-release.
There's also a hidden song on this album. In the Forest, it contains a hidden instrumental called Terra Inc. And it starts at 5:30. So that's if you have the, what is it? I believe it's the 12-minute version of In the Forest, but the 2009 re-release kind of does away with that. And
we don't have hidden tracks anymore.
Yeah,
not a thing.
It used to like be the whole thing where the song ended, there was a long period of silence, and then the song would start. But now, since they stopped that, it just ends, and then about 10 seconds goes by, and then the song kicks in.
And that's mainly because we're in the streaming world now, you know, where it's like
people can you can look ahead
the
and be
hidden
like,
track, the hidden track on any album. It's like you're not gonna like. Well, sometimes the old albums will sit there and do that.
They do it, but like
where it's like
to your
30,
point,
40 minutes of just fucking nothing.
we can
and
see the track
list.
We can see the line now. So if you're listening to a song and it ends, and then you see your still play bar is halfway through.
Oh, that was the best on the
CD,
CD,
right? You're gonna scroll through to the end and see what
CD
you're
player,
missing.
and you're like, wait, how much time's left on this? And you're zipping through, and you're like, oh, there it is. All right, go back.
They also did this on The Way of All Flesh. They had another closing hidden track. So a little popular thing metal bands and some other bands tend to do.
Mainly metal, yeah. They always have the hidden track. Sometimes I love the listing of tracks, or just like, you know, track 4. You know, just do that. No, I don't have a name. Just put 4. And it's on track 4. And it's like, oh, okay.
And speaking to gear, pretty recently, Charvel did a Joe signature guitar. He has his own signature guitar model. And then Jackson did a Christian signature guitar. So they both have their own signature guitars. I'm sure Mario's got some signature snare or drums sort of stuff out there.
I love how he sets up his drum set.
They use EVH amps. I think now they don't use any pedals or anything. They just go straight into the amp.
Isn't that crazy, y'all?
And so it's
like not a huge pedal board here. Like 2 fucking pedals, a fucking
maybe
EQ
a wall or
and
something.
a fucking EVH pedal to go into the EVH head, and it's a solid state, just fucking, you know.
So I mean they keep it pretty lean when it comes to their tone and sound, which, I mean, that's pretty crazy.
I guess all the money has to go to buying Joey more cymbals, more little weird splashes and chinas and stuff like that. I can't wait to talk about other albums. If any of our listeners are experiencing new music because of this podcast, that's what this is all about. And I'm going to go ahead and say it. You can go ahead and follow us on Spotify at the BANGover Podcast. How you like that, Chris, huh? You're going to say an Apple, huh? Apple what? No, that fucking app sucks. You can go to Spotify and follow us. You can also go to Instagram and follow us at BANGover Productions, and, you know, Facebook at BANGover ATX. You know, you just type in BANGover. Actually, not too many things pop up. Surprising. There's some thrash metal songs out there that have BANGover in it. It is a term within the rock and roll world as a hangover from after seeing a show or playing a show. Your head, you know, your neck hurts. And this is one of those albums that will get your fucking head. Yeah, just aching. You could be like, I'm exhausted after listening to this. It took everything out of me. And I can't express how much I fucking love Gojira. Please go out and follow Gojira on Spotify. Go buy their album from their website. Get some merch. They have great fucking merch.
Keep an eye out for the new album, any new releases. They're taking a hiatus. I think everyone's taking a hiatus from touring right now.
We're on quarantine right now, so we promise to get you a lot more episodes.
I bet you that's a prime opportunity for
recording.
Exactly. So
you don't need a lot of people.
Keep an eye out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're still going through metal this month. Please leave some comments on different styles of music you might want to hear. Electronica, maybe more hip hop.
Yeah.
Indie, I'm willing to do anything. I'm a huge metalhead. This is where my passion lies, but I like listening to new stuff and getting into different things. So, I'm open.
Yeah.
I'm down.
I think right now metal's doing pretty good as far as releases and just the scene right now. It's doing pretty good.
Oh man, I fucking I can't go very long without metal. I need it. If I'm listening to like a punk like Pandora Station all day at work, I'm coming home to listen to Cannibal Corpse. Like I need to drown out all that shit. I just need to get it out of my head. This is like, it's just a good way to forget about everything that's going on right now.
Yeah.
You put on this album and you will not even for a second think about being quarantined, getting this scary virus, people buying all the toilet paper. You're not even going to worry about that. All you're going to care about is just the next song and the next song and then go to the next album.
What's our next song?
It's going to be Love,
Ooh.
Which is, what a funny music video. Do you remember the music video?
Yeah.
Every time they do that pause where the drums do the roll, it's that guy jumping in the air.
Yeah.
Every time.
Yeah.
So I always think of that. And I fucking love this song, even... It's called Love, but it's such a bitchy title. I get it. And this is probably some of the reasons why metalheads will sit there and fucking just, rag, if you will, on Gojira. Just be harsh. They're not metal. It's like, dude, this song...
It's not butchered by
Love.
birth.
Yeah. This song's called Love.
Butchered
but it is it's pure hate inside of this song. There's just some aggressiveness. For people that are very passive, they got something inside them that's fueling this metal. And I believe everyone does. Please go out and experience more metal. You should listen to all different types of genres, not just one. It's so crazy. But go ahead and follow Gojira on all their platforms. And dude, what more can we say, Chris?
Yeah.
Besides we'll be back with Pantera. Oh, that's going to be fun. Brother band, metal. Fun fact, 2000, the last album, Reinventing the Steel, 2001, Terra Incognita, they were there at the same time. Didn't even know this band existed until 8 years later?
Yeah.
6? Don't be as ignorant as me. Please go out and check out all of Gojira's stuff. We'll be posting more stuff. We're going to have some live streams because we're not allowed to play live shows right now, as everyone is aware of.
More stuff's coming out, so
I'm going to kill myself.
It,
everyone be safe out there. And again, thank you all for listening. Chris, let's get in. Let's get into it.